Ed Rappaport is the Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center. He joins us now from Miami. Ed, Irma, we know, is already a Cat 5 hurricane. Can you give us sort of the track and the timing and what concerns you the most about Irma?
Yeah, the center of Irma now is located about 1,400 miles to the east of the Florida Peninsula. It's much closer to the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and it's going to be affecting them in the next 24 hours with hurricane conditions. As far as what we're looking for in the future, track of the storm comes through here to the west, and by early in the weekend is near or along the north coast of Cuba, and then turns northward towards Florida. Where that turn occurs is critical. Don't quite know yet because it's still 4 or 5 days out from now. At this point, with a Category 5 hurricane, though, potentially catastrophic in terms of wind and storm surge. And also we have, of course, concerns from flooding from rain.
You mentioned Category 5 strength and that it could potentially make landfall. If it does make landfall in the U.S., do you think it has the potential to stay a Category 5? Any way of telling that right now?
At this point, we're forecasting the intensity to be Category 4 to Category 5 for the next couple of days and to approach the Florida Peninsula and Florida Keys at that intensity. Whether it stays as a 4 or 5, we don't know, but either way could be devastating impacts.
And you mentioned storm surge. When you talk about that, it's particularly for the state of Florida, who's the most vulnerable down in that south area?
Well, the entire coastal area is going to be at risk from storm surge, and that includes both the east coast and the west coast of Florida, as well as the Florida Keys. So this area here is very much at risk for inundation from storm surge.
It's almost practically half the state from our vantage point here, it seems like. I want to ask you about this potential storm that's right on the heels of Harvey. How common is it for there to be two storms in such a short time frame?
It's not that unusual to have two storms that are very intense right behind each other, or one right behind the other. We had that some years ago with Hurricane David and Frederick, for those who are history buffs. And those are both major hurricanes, as are these two, Harvey and Irma, but it doesn't happen every year for sure.
There's also another tropical storm churning in the Atlantic, Tropical Storm Jose. What do we know about that?
Yeah, at this point, that's not the main threat. There is some risk for an impact, again, towards to the Leeward Islands in a few days, but by far the biggest concern is for Irma. There
was some concern, some false reports out there that Irma could strengthen to Category 6. Can you explain why that's fake?
Well, first, there is no Category 6. Category 5 is open-ended. And at this point, it really doesn't matter whether the wind speed goes up by 5 or 10 miles per hour, or down by 5 or 10 miles per hour. It's potentially devastating hurricane at any of those speeds.
Ed Rappaport, thank you for joining us, Ed.
Thank you.